Within our horror film opening, our group decided that it would be beneficial to include appropriate conventions and recognisable motifs of the horror genre to help an audience immediately recognise that they were watching a horror film and recognise the subgenre that we are basing our film upon. We also decided to subvert some stereotypical representations and ideas that were associated with our subgenre in order to create a unique selling point for our media product and help to create a feeling of unease and to shock our audience and heighten their sense of suspense and fear. Our film was based around a hybrid of a psychological thriller and a paranormal horror. We combined these highly popular genres to broaden the audience that our film would appeal to, because our primary research indicated that an audience of a similar age to us enjoyed watching horror films that seemed more realistic and got scared by real-life situations. We thought that this would be an appropriate colour to feature throughout our opening to give a sinister feel to a scene which is usually associated with being very happy. By including props such as Sarah's red nail varnish and William's birthday cake icing in this colour, it created a sense of unease for the audience because it foreshadowed the fact that something horrific was about to occur. And although we did not show the murder itself, the idea of violence was reinforced by the use of red marks on the shirt of Tommy's ghost, which is only briefly seen at the end of the opening, to create a sense of confusion and mystery. We also used lots of low-key lighting to add an eerie, intense feel to the opening, because we thought that it would make an audience suspect something bad was about to happen. We used elements of Levi Strauss's theory of binary opposition and how bad occurrences happen at night and everything appears safe during the daytime, when an indication of a haunting was given to Sarah's character whilst asleep at night time. Yet we also developed the theory slightly by making the key horrific event of Tommy's beating happen in daytime. We also thought we would broaden our audience's interests by including elements of violence within our opening. This is shown by the fact that a brutal murder is indicated to have taken place in an unsettling circumstance, considering the victim of abuse and murder was a child. We thought that these violent themes would suggest that our film was associated with the horror genre, whilst leaving the audience shocked and disturbed by the nature of what they had believed to have occurred. We only indicated that something bad had happened to Tommy's character because our research also suggested that although our target audience found it entertaining when violence was involved in horror, they thought it was off-putting during the initial introduction to a film. We also thought that it would have been more effective and had an impact on the audience if they used their own imagination to think what had happened to Tommy, to make everyone's independent interpretation more scary for them. We also used many conventional camera techniques which were associated with the horror genre, such as extreme close-ups of key objects or parts of the body to help draw out the tension that character was creating, such as Sarah's hand going up the banister. This shot was relatively long and slow to make the audience feel a sense of dread, and the camera angle is looking up at her to show that she has the power at her fingertips. We also used shots such as canted angles to add to the chaotic effect of the dream and to disorientate our audience. Our secondary research also indicated that there were a set of conventional forms of film openings, and we decided to use one of them within our opening. This was a flashback. We thought that we could create a disorientating effect within our film whilst giving clues to the narrative plot by creating a flashback in the form of a dream. After completing our opening, we realised that there were some improvements that could have been made to make this concept more clear, such as having a shot of the person asleep at the start of the film to indicate the idea of a dream is occurring and to raise questions of her importance. We also thought it would have been a good idea to show the dream in a first-person point of view perspective to then indicate that character's role within the murder. These are things that we have learned throughout the development of our film. Although overall I thought our flashback effect was quite effective, due to the use of changing camera angles and crossfades to give us a real feel to the sequence. Also, the non-continuous shots that did not flow with realistic continuity was used to further emphasise that what the audience was seeing was not happening in real time, to create an eerie and helpless feel. The use of faded cold colours and slow motion helped to indicate that the event was occurring in the past and that it was being reflected upon by someone, and the connotations associated with drained blue and grey colours and low saturation suggested a theme of darkness, sorrow and death to help fit in with the expectations of the horror genre. Our use of minor key music, echoed voices, and chaotic sounds were also a conventional aspect of horror which we conformed to, because we thought that by using a contrapuntal sound of the Happy Birthday song and distorting it into an uneven tempo with lots of unnatural and non-diegetic sounds, such as ghostly whispers and low bass notes, would highlight the sense of dread for the audience and build suspense until the sudden silence is realised when reality is restored as Sarah's character wakes from her dream. We also subverted some stereotypical aspects of horror to make our films stand out in the marketplace. Some of these subversions included the representation of characters such as using a cast of actors of all of a similar age. We did this in order to make our audience suspect who would be the hero and villain of the plot without making it obvious straight away. And the fact that they were of a similar age to our target audience meant that the opening would relate to the audience and feel more personal, which made the film more intense and scary. Also, the use of a role of a female villain subverted the stereotypical idea of a man being the violent character, which we used to create false security and shock our audience. And our main subversion to the codes and conventions of a traditional horror was the fact that our narrative includes a major plot twist which is unsuspected when the victim of murder, Tommy, becomes the villainous character when he begins to torment his killer and also cousin, Sarah. We also subverted the stereotype of a traditional horror setting by locating our film in a suburban area, similar to what we would expect a middle-class family to live in. We used this subversion because our research suggested that many people our age found more recent films frightening because of the fact that they were set in a familiar location.